prepared by some of the people I most respect here in this body, and drill down on that. Listen to guys like Barney Frank. Listen to guys like Barney Frank, who don't have a dog in this fight, but they have a lot of knowledge, and try to make the decision that you think is the right thing to do. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Senator from Illinois is recognized.
How much time is remaining?
13 minutes, 52 seconds.
Any time remaining on the other side?
0.
Mr. President, if Senator Tester returns to the floor and wants to speak before the vote, I'm going to ask for unanimous consent to each have 2 minutes for that purpose. Perhaps he does not want to, but I'm going to make that a matter of record here because I want him to have a chance to close. Let me try to get down to basics here. Did you ever pull out one of these cards to pay for something? If you're my age, you don't pull it out as often as younger people. This morning, I was down in the carryout here, and a young woman who is a Capitol policeman bought a pack of chewing gum for $1.20 and handed over her debit card. The debit card was swiped. She took the chewing gum and walked away. The average amount that was charged by the issuing bank of her debit card is 44 cents for each transaction. How much money do you think the owner of the carryout made on that pack of gum this morning? The answer is nothing. And now repeat that over and over again across America. What is happening is that the banks issuing these debit cards are imposing interchange fees, swipe fees on these transactions, and the merchants and the retailers have no voice in the amount of that fee. No voice whatsoever. The Federal Reserve did a study and asked, well, how much does it actually cost them to process that debit transaction? And the answer was 12 cents, in the range of 12 cents. The charge is 44 cents. The cost is 12 cents. Is there something wrong with this picture? It means that that person, every person, buying goods at stores across America pays more to pay for this fee. Now, we have heard the plaintive cries of those offering this amendment of how we've got to have some sympathy for these banks. These poor banks struggling to survive. If they can't collect the maximum on their debit fee, interchange fee, swipe fee, what's going to happen to them? Well, we've already exempted, incidentally, all banks with values of $10 billion and less, so we're talking about the big boys, the big banks. So let's ask a few basic questions. How does the debit card interchange fee in America compare to other countries? Visa and MasterCard do business all around the world. Banks issue these all around the world. So how do we stack up? Where is the good old U.S. of A? Well, I'll tell you where we stack up. We have the highest interchange fees charged by Visa and MasterCard anywhere in the world. The highest. Thank you. Can America express its gratitude any greater than to say thank you to the banks for charging us the most for using plastic? So what do they charge in other countries? Debit interchange fees in the European Union, less than 1/5 the charge in the United States. So let's do the math. 9 cents a transaction in Europe, 44 cents here. We want to give a big sloppy kiss to these big banks at 2 o'clock for the way that they're going to treat us on this. But it gets better. When you go to Canada, Visa and MasterCard debit interchange fees in Canada, 0. There is no interchange fee. Now we have people on the floor begging us to show some sympathy for these banks and give them an interchange fee, and they charge nothing in Canada, 0. That's the reality. And the biggest banks make the biggest money on this process, far and away. Chase, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo, to the tune of almost $8 billion a year. How long do they want the study to go on interchange fees? If you're making $1.3 billion a month, you want the study to go on for months, if not years. Get back to you later, we say to the banks. Yeah, that's exactly what they want. And at 2 o'clock, we'll decide as a Senate whether we're going to give it to them. This amendment, drawn up by the banks, compromises between the banks, gives to the banks exactly what they're looking for. A huge loophole to assess their interchange fees to justify what they're charging today and charge more. Nothing in here, nothing to protect consumers and businesses across America. I got started in politics with a fellow named Paul Douglas. This goes back a few years. I was a college student. Douglas was a PhD in economics, much smarter than I am for sure. He spent his whole life trying to pass something called truth in lending. All he wanted the banks to do was to tell their customers how much they were charging them with interest rates. He spent 18 years battling that, and he left the Senate without getting it done. Couldn't finish it. Bill Proxmire of Wisconsin took up the battle and passed it. But Paul Douglas fought those banks for 18 years. It's a battle that's been going on a long time around here. Because, you see, there's a lot of power in this banking community, in these financial institutions. And when they come to the floor and say they want something, Congress decides we better start talking. It's rarely that they ever lose. I guess you could say the Wall Street Reform Bill was a loss for them, but they deserved it. Look at the god-awful mess they put America into with their rotten practices, their stupidity, their reckless conduct. We're still paying for that. We still have a lot of people out of work and businesses that failed. Many of the savings accounts of families across America are still suffering because those banks made those mistakes. And in the free market system, did they pay for their mistakes? No. The American taxpayers paid for their mistakes. Giving credit where it's due to Senator Tester, he voted against the TARP bill. I want to put it on the record. He said it, and I want it to be on the record. I voted for it. I did. Because I was told by Ben Bernanke of the Federal Reserve and Hank Paulson of the Department of Treasury, if you don't help these banks and they fail, you're going to see a worse depression than 1929. I bought it. I voted for it. Almost $800 billion in bailouts to these banks. I was seething to think that we were going to spend taxpayers' money to help these banks be rescued from their own stupidity and their own greed. We did it. For the three biggest banks that are involved here, some $95 billion we sent to them. Well, they're back. They're looking for the second installment on their payment. This time not from the taxpayers, this time from consumers and businesses across America. What they're asking us for, the biggest banks, the three biggest ones, is almost $8 billion a year in these interchange fees. We've got a chance now to try to bring some balance to this conversation. We've got a chance to finally stand up for small businesses and merchants and consumers across America who have been victimized by the credit card companies and the big banks for too long. Can this United States Senate stand up once a year, once a decade, for consumers across America against these financial institutions? That's what's at stake with this amendment. I know it's going to be a heated vote because my poor colleagues have been beaten to a pulp by both sides that feel very intensely about this. And I want to credit my colleague from Montana because he told me at the outset when I said, John, please don't do this. He said, I believe it. And John, I admire you for doing that. Still do. Even though I disagree with you, I admire you for doing it. You're a man of conviction and principle and a great senator. But this is an historic moment in the Senate. It's a moment where we will decide whether or not, for once, the big banks are going to lose and the consumers are going to win. Whether or not we're going to reduce the cost of these transactions and help consumers across America, help small businesses across America make the profit they need. Some people say that, well, this hasn't been studied enough. For 11 months now, the Federal Reserve has been studying this. The best economists, the best minds there. They have entertained 11,000 comments. They've heard everything under the sun. They've heard it all. In a matter of days, they are set to issue a rule which no one has seen, a rule which the banks don't want anyone to see. They don't want this rule to see the light of day, and that's why they're here today, to stop the Federal Reserve from issuing a rule that may cost them in terms of their bottom line. It's our choice now. It's our choice about whether or not these banks are going to prevail or not. And history will record the strength of consumers, small businesses across America against the Wall Street banks who take away more than half of the interchange fees on debit cards that are collected across America. I hope that my colleagues will stand by the decision that we made a year ago. I hope they will give each of us an opportunity to see this rule come into effect, and from that, build on it, a stronger, growing economy, one that is fairer than an economy where interchange fees have been dictated by the big banks and credit card companies for too long. Mr. President, I reserve the balance of my time.
Remaining time, 3 minutes, 55 seconds.
I mentioned on the floor earlier that I would like to give to my colleague, how much? 2 minutes? 2 minutes, and then I'll take 2 minutes, and that'll be the end.
Thank you.
I ask unanimous consent that
With that,
Senator Montana.
is there objection? Without objection, so ordered.
Just to clarify, so I've got 2 minutes, Senator Durbin has 2 minutes, and then we vote.
It's correct. That was the order just entered.
God bless the U.S. Senate. I will say this, first of all, to the folks in the gallery and the members that are still in their offices, look at me. Do I look like a banker? Senator Corker and myself drew this amendment up. The banks did not draw this amendment up, with the help of Senator Hagan, Crapo, and Bennett. As is usual, we agree on 90%, and there's 10% we disagree on. Do I think swipe fees need to be regulated? Of course. But the problem with this amendment is the exemption on community banks and credit unions under $10 billion does not work. Doesn't work. I've read all the quotes from Bernanke and Baer and the head of the OCC and the NCUA and all of them. They've said they don't know how to make a two-tiered system work because a free market system is what will overrule that, and that's the way it ought to be in this country. So the bottom line is I look at this from a rural perspective and the impact the federal government has on rural America, and while we're trying to solve one problem, we're creating 2 or 3 others. And I could care less about the Wall Street banks. They're going to do fine. But I'll tell you what, we lose the banks in our small towns in Montana or Wyoming or Tennessee, and you can put another nail in the coffin of rural America. With that, I yield the floor to the good senator from Tennessee.
Mr. President.
Senator from Tennessee.
I couldn't agree more. It's amazing, you know, we passed this 2,400-page bill a year ago, and on all the tough decisions, we deferred to the regulators. And the regulators are now creating all kinds of rules because we knew that they had some wisdom that we didn't have. And yet, in this case, where the regulators, every single regulator involved is telling us the way the Durbin Amendment was written, we're going to damage the community banks and credit unions, that it won't work. So it's amazing that in this case where the very people who regulate tell us, please change this, it won't work, we're saying, no, we're not going to, this is going to benefit Wall Street. That's not the case. This puts the Durbin Amendment in the middle of the road where it needs to be, and I hope everyone will support it. Thank you.
Senator from Illinois.
Mr. President, I understand 2 minutes.
Senator has 2 minutes.
If you're interested in small-town America, you should be interested in the small businesses that operate in small-town America, and they are begging you to vote no on the Tester-Corker amendment. I happen to live in a town of 120,000 people. It's a little bit larger than my colleague's hometown in Montana. But I can tell you what the businesses there are saying. I can tell you what Wendy Chronister is saying, who owns the Road Ranger gas stations. She's saying to me, give me a break. They are hitting us so hard with these debit interchange fees. We got letters here that I put in a record here from the military base exchanges, which says this is the fastest growing uncontrollable cost they are facing. This is a problem which the credit card companies and the banks have wanted to ignore, and now this amendment, credit card companies and the banks have wanted to ignore, and now this amendment wants to delay for 6 months, a year, or longer. In terms of trusting the regulators, I'm afraid that the banking interests that wrote this amendment didn't trust them to even issue the rule. You had to call this debate before they issued the rule. You don't know what the number is going to be on the interchange fee, but you had to stop them in their tracks. And if you'll go to look at the corridors and rooms around Capitol Hill here, you won't find a lot of small-town bankers. You'll find the biggest banks in America waiting in the wings, praying, putting in $1 billion worth of prayers that this amendment's going to pass. I don't question the intentions or motives of Senator Tester Corker. I never will. But I can tell you the effect of this amendment is going to be giving to those big banks and those credit card companies a windfall of profit they do not deserve. If the interchange fee is 0 in Canada, why is it 44 cents here? Can we stand up representing the people of this country and say that is fundamentally unfair You've got to treat our consumers and merchants fairly. If we can't stand up and do that, why are we here? To do the bidding of the banks and the credit card companies? I hope not. I hope we're here to stand up for economic fairness and for consumers and small businesses across America begging us to defeat this amendment, and I yield the floor.
Mr. President,
Suggest the absence of quorum.
The Republican leader?
Mr. President.
I'm sorry. Suggest absence of quorum. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Akaka.
The senator from Tennessee.
but is there a moment we can continue to talk about this? Or,
No, we're in a quorum call at the time, President.
I'd like to ask unanimous consent to.
Objection, sir.
President,
Majority Leader.
we're in a quorum call, is that correct?
We are in the quorum call.
I ask consent that that be vitiated.
Without objection.
Go ahead, Mitch.
So ordered. The Republican leader.
Mr. President, on behalf of Senators Snowe and Coburn, I ask unanimous consent to temporarily set aside the pending amendment so that I may call up my amendment number 390, which is at the desk.
Is there objection? Without objection. Clerk will report.
I ask consent that further reading of the amendment be dispensed with.
The Senator from
objection.
Kentucky, Mr. McConnell, for Ms. Snowe, proposes amendment number 390.
Mr. President, my understanding, the order before the Senate is we're going to vote now on the Tester amendment. Is that right?
Senator is correct. Is there a sufficient second? It's already been called. The clerk will call the roll and hold it. The Durbin amendment is withdrawn. The clerk will call the roll on the Tester amendment.
Mr. Akaka, Mr. Alexander, Ms. Ayotte.
Did you say? Yeah, thank you.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir. Thank you. Sir. Mr. Barrasso. Mr. Baucus. Mr. Begich. Sir. Sir. Mr. Bennett. Mr. Bingaman. Mr. Blumenthal. Mr. Blunt. Mr. Bozeman. Sir. Mrs. Boxer. Mr. Brown of Massachusetts. Mr. Brown of Ohio. Mr. Burr. Ms. Cantwell. Mr. Cardin. Mr. Carper. Mr. Casey. Mr. Chambliss. Mr. Coates. Mr. Coburn. Mr. Cochran. Ms. Collins. Mr. Conrad. Mr. Coons. Mr. Corker. Mr. Cornyn. Mr. Crapo. Mr. Dement. Mr. Durbin. Mr. Enzi. Mrs. Feinstein. Mr. Franken. Mrs. Gillibrand. Mr. Graham. Mr. Grassley. Mrs. Hagan. Mr. Harkin. Mr. Hatch. Mr. Heller. Mr. Hoven. Mrs. Hutchison. Mr. Inhofe. Mr. Inouye. Mr. Isaacson. Mr. Johans. Mr. Johnson of Wisconsin. Mr. Johnson of South Dakota. Mr. Carey.
You already had me down there for I, right? You called me again, Johnson from Wisconsin.
Mr. Kirk. Ms. Klobuchar. Mr. Cole. Mr. Kyle. Ms. Landrieu. Mr. Lautenberg. Mr. Leahy. Mr. Lee. Mr. Levin. Mr. Lieberman. Mr. Lugar. Mr. Manchin. Mr. McCain. Mrs. McCaskill. Mr. McConnell. Mr. Menendez. Mr. Merkley. Ms. Mikulski. Mr. Moran. Ms. Murkowski. Mrs. Murray. Mr. Nelson of Nebraska. Mr. Nelson of Florida. Mr. Paul. Mr. Portman. Mr. Pryor. Mr. Reed of Rhode Island. Mr. Reed of Nevada. Mr. Risch. Mr. Roberts. Mr. Rockefeller. Mr. Rubio. Mr. Sanders, Mr. Schumer, Mr. Sessions, Mrs. Shaheen, Mr. Shelby, Ms. Snow, Ms. Stabenow, Mr. Tester, Mr. Thune, Mr. Toomey, Mr. Udall of Colorado, Mr. Udall of New Mexico, Mr. Vitter, Mr. Warner, Mr. Webb, Mr. Whitehouse, Mr. Wicker, Mr. Wyden, Senators voting in the affirmative: Alexander, Ayotte, Bennett, Blunt, Bozeman, Carper, Coates, Coburn, Cochran, Corker, Cornyn, Crapo, Dement, Hagan, Hutchison, Inhofe, Johans, Johnson of Wisconsin, Johnson of South Dakota, Kirk, Kyle, Lee, McConnell, Murkowski, Nelson of Nebraska, Nelson of Florida, Paul, Roberts, Rubio, Schumer, Sessions, Stabenow, Tester, Thune, Toomey, and Warner. Mr. Coons. Mr. Coons, aye. Mr. Hoeven, aye. Mr. Heller, aye. Ms. Collins. Senators voting in the negative: Barrasso, Bingaman, Boxer, Brown of Massachusetts, Brown of Ohio, Burr, Cardin, Collins, Conrad, Durbin, Enzi, Feinstein, Graham, Grassley, Harkin, Isaacson, Landrieu, Mikulski, Murray, Reed of Nevada, Rockefeller, Udall of Colorado, Udall of New Mexico, and Vitter. Mr. Chambliss, no. Mr. Wicker. Did you say no? Mr. Moran. Mr. Moran, aye. Mr. Reed. Mr. Reed of Rhode Island, no. Mr. Hatch. Mr. Hatch, aye. Mr. Risch. Mr. Risch, aye. Mr. Levin, no. Mr. Webb. Mr. Webb, aye. Mr. Baucus, aye. Mr. Begich. Mr. Begich, aye. Mr. Akaka, aye. Mr. Merkley. Mr. Merkley, no. Mr. Manchin. Mr. Manchin, aye. Mr. McCain. Mr. McCain, aye. Mr. Pryor. Mr. Pryor, no. Mr. Franken. Mr. Franken, no. Mr. Lautenberg. Mr. Lautenberg, no. Mrs. Gillibrand. Mrs. Gillibrand, Aye. Mr. Whitehouse, no. Ms. Mikulski, aye. Ms. Klobuchar, no. Mrs. Shaheen, no. No. Ms. Snow, no. Mr. Wicker, aye. Mr. Menendez, no. Mr. Lugar, no. Mr. Leahy, no. Mr. Inouye, no. Ms. Cantwell, no. Mr. Wyden, no. Mr. Shelby, Aye. Mr. Sanders. Mr. Sanders, no. Mr. Cole, no. Mr. Portman. Mr. Portman, aye. Mr. Casey. Mr. Casey, no. Mr. Carey. Mr. Carey, no. Mr. Blumenthal. Mr. Blumenthal, no. Mrs. McCaskill. Mrs. McCaskill, aye.
Are there any senators in the chamber who wish to vote or change their vote? If not, on this vote, the yeas are 54, the nays are 45. Under the previous order requiring 60 votes for the adoption of this amendment, the amendment is not agreed to. Under the previous order, a motion to reconsider is considered made and laid on the table. The Majority Leader. The clerk call the roll of the Senate.
Mr. Akaka.
Mr. President, the Senator from South Carolina.
I ask quorum call be suspended.
Is there objection? Objection is heard. Without objection, the majority leader is recognized.
Could we have order, Mr. President?
Senate will be in order.
I've spoken with the chairman of the committee and a number of other senators, including Senator Snowe, who has offered her amendment on this bill. She has not determined yet how much time she wants on this. We'll be happy to work with her to make sure she has some time to speak on it, of course. Senator DeMint has indicated he has an amendment he wants to offer. Senator Paul has indicated he has an amendment he wants to offer. So I think what we'll do at this stage is Senator Boxer will give a statement, however long she feels it's appropriate. As soon as an amendment is offered by Senator DeMint and Paul, they're going to debate this at their amendments at some later time. We have some people on our side who want to offer amendments, and so to keep this fairly orderly, we'll have 2 amendments on our side be offered, and then we'll sit down and talk about that again. That means there would be 5 amendments pending, and I think that's enough for us to get our arms around and try to move forward to this important piece of legislation. So I ask consent that Senator DeMint be recognized to offer an amendment, Senator Paul be recognized to offer an amendment, and Senator Boxer be recognized to speak for us whichever time she feels appropriate. And then we would have a couple of amendments offered on the Democratic side, and then we'll reassess where we are after that.
Is there objection?
Yeah, the only thing, Mr. President, so we know where we start on this, that we want to make sure that the amendments offered by my Republican colleagues and my Democratic colleagues initially be not divisible.
Is there objection? Hearing no objection, so ordered.
Mr. President,
The Senator from South Carolina.
I ask unanimous consent to set aside the pending amendment to call up amendment number 394 and ask for its immediate consideration.
The clerk will report.
The Senator from South Carolina, Mr. DeMint, proposes amendment number 394. At the end, add the following. Section 21, repeal of the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the reading of the amendment be dispensed with.
Without objection, the Senator from South Carolina is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I yield the floor.
Mr. President,
Senator from Kentucky.
I ask unanimous consent to set aside the pending amendment and call up Amendment 414.
Without objection, the clerk will report.
The Senator from Kentucky, Mr. Paul, proposes amendment number 414. At the appropriate place, insert the following.
Mr. President, I ask that the reading be waived.
Without objection.
This amendment will raise the debt ceiling $2.4 trillion. This will comply with the President's budget. Many on the other side have asked for a clean vote on raising the debt ceiling, and because I really want to get along and go along, I want to make this vote available for those who would like to raise the debt ceiling. I will vote no, but I wanted to do this in consideration of the majority's wishes. Thank you.
The Senator from California.
Mr. President, let the games begin. That's what's going on around here. I have full respect for my colleagues, and you could tell from the tone and tenor of Senator Paul that he finds it amusing that he's offering a clean debt ceiling increase that he's voting against. He's offering an amendment that he's voting against. When we know we're in discussions with the President, in discussions with the Vice President, in discussions with the Gang of Six, to try and figure out a way that we can come together, not have gotcha votes on the United States Senate floor. It's outrageous. I'll tell you why it's outrageous. We have an underlying bill here, Mr. President, that you've been very helpful with, S-782, the Economic Development Revitalization Act of 2011, which will reauthorize a very important program that's been in place in this country, in this great nation, since 1965. That was last passed when George W. Bush was president, that passed this Senate unanimously without all these amendments that are going nowhere. I mean, there's 27 amendments as of last night. Actually, it's probably many more now. And we know this game, because we played it once before when Senator Landrieu stood where I'm standing now and tried to get a small business bill through here, which would have created thousands of jobs in this nation. Well, here we are. We have a bill that came out of the committee I'm fortunate enough to chair, Environment and Public Works, with a strong vote. We had one dissent. Senator Inhofe is my primary co-sponsor. For 50 years, this EDA program, the Economic Development Administration, has created jobs, spurred growth in economically hard-hit communities. We know the struggle we're having coming out of this greatest recession since the Great Depression. And I want to remind the people within the sound of my voice that when President Obama took over, this country was bleeding almost 1 million jobs a month. And we're getting back on our feet. We got the auto industry back on its feet. We're getting manufacturing back on its feet. And it's too slow. We have to do more. And once in a while, we get an opportunity to work with small businesses, the private sector, local government, attract funds from nonprofit organizations, and bring jobs and important work to our communities. And this is one way. An arm of the Chamber of Commerce wrote me a letter yesterday saying how important this work is. Do you have a copy of that? Their Business Civic Leadership Center said, EDA has served as a valuable partner in many communities that we have worked in, including San Jose, California, Seattle, Washington, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Mobile, Alabama, New Orleans, Louisiana, Atlanta, Georgia, Boca Raton, Florida, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Newark, New Jersey, and many others. Signed by Stephen Jordan, Executive Director of the Business Civic Leadership Center of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. This is a bill everybody wants, but games are being played on the floor of the United States Senate, I guess just for the fun of it, just to stop us from doing our job. And what is our number one job? To create jobs. To create jobs. What does the AFL-CIO say? You've got business and you've got labor. EDA has established an admirable track record in assisting economically troubled low-income communities with limited job opportunities by putting their investments to good use in promoting needed job creation and industrial and commercial development. Signed by William Samuel, Director, Government Affairs Department, AFL-CIO, dated yesterday. Now, why is business and labor supporting this bill? Why do they want us to stop the games and pass this bill? Because they want jobs for businesses, and businesses want the work. Now, let's just take a look at other people who were supporting, in addition to the arm of the Chamber of Commerce and AFL. Excuse me. The U.S. Conference of Mayors, the American Public Works Association, the National Association of Counties, and I was a county supervisor and belonged to that many, many, many years ago. You want bipartisanship? Go to the National Association of Counties. There are Democrats, Republicans, independents, people of every stripe, liberal, moderate, conservative. They all come together. Why? Because business and labor are together, and everybody wants jobs. Why do we have to face a 700-page amendment by my friend, Maine Senator Olympia Snowe, on deregulation, a bill that hasn't had one hearing in any committee and will, in many ways, eviscerate the important rules and regulations that protect public health and the environment? We should have a hearing on that bill. I'm sure we can work together and make it a wonderful bill. Instead, it's offered on this bill 700 pages.
Will the senator yield for a question?
I will not yield at this time, but I will yield when I'm concluding. We have a 700-page amendment that's been offered here to a what, 40-page bill? 29-page bill. We have a 29-page bill that will create tens of thousands of jobs. And we have the First Amendment offered by my good friend, 700 pages, not one hearing, and it repeals all kinds of protections for the public health. I don't get it. There's only one thing that I can get. With all these amendments, we have amendments on the debt ceiling that have nothing to do with this bill. This bill will create income for taxpayers, because when jobs are created and people work, they pay their fair share of taxes. This bill does not deserve to be treated this way. When it passed almost unanimously out of the committee, and it is totally bipartisan, and it's been in place for almost 50 years. But yet and still, that's where we are. Every senator has the right to do what he or she wants. They can play games, they can have fun. But you know what I care about? The people I represent. And, Mr. President, they need jobs. I care about them whether you're in Kentucky, California, or Maryland. Any state in this union. We are United States senators. We should care about the people, not get up here and play games. EDA uses limited federal dollars to leverage large amounts of private sector investment. It's the little spark that creates economic activity in areas that are distressed, and it creates these jobs all across the country. Every dollar of EDA investment attracts nearly $7. I'll show you some other charts. When we vote for this bill, this is an authorization, not an appropriation. We have authorized it at $500 million historically. In the last couple of years, it's been funded at about $300, $250. Every dollar attracts $7 from the private sector. And that's a fact. And it's been documented in congressional testimony made on March 3rd, 2011. That's the history of the EDA. And people say, well, how much, Senator, do these jobs cost, each job? Well, here's what we know. One job is created for every $2,000 to $4,000 invested. So it's an average of somewhere around $3,000 a job. That's a good return on our investment. $220 and 500 jobs are created for every $1 million of EDA investment. Here's what we know. Between 2005 and 2010, 450,000 jobs were created by these investments, and 85,000 jobs were saved. Everybody in this Senate, I think, I could be wrong, if asked what's the most important thing we have to do today, it is to help spur job creation in the private sector. And most of these are in cooperation with the private sector. Sometimes they are sewer projects, water projects that are needed by the private sector, and I'm going to give you some examples. Since we are authorizing this, at this stage the bill is $500 million, I asked how many jobs would be created each year. And it looks like it would create nearly 200,000 jobs per year and between 430,000 and 1 million jobs over the life of the bill. I want to give you some examples, because this isn't rhetoric, This is a program that's been in place since 1965. The city of Dixon, in my home state, got $3 million for a water system that will increase the city's water supply and their storage capacity, will eliminate a major impediment to planned development and expansion of the city's commercial and industrial areas. When you don't have enough water, you can't expand. But I learned that when I was a county supervisor. You need to make sure there's adequate water, adequate electricity, adequate sewer. You have to make sure there are adequate roads. All these things are necessary for development and job creation. This project is expected to create 1,000 jobs and leverage $40 million in private investment. So we have a $3 million investment to improve the water system, and it's going to leverage to $40 million. I call that a good deal for our taxpayers and a great deal for the American people to see jobs created. 1,000 jobs, good jobs created. And that means 1,000 dads and moms bringing home paychecks for their families. But what do we have here? The same thing Senator Landrieu had to put up with. Amendment after amendment after amendment that have nothing to do with this bill. We even had an amendment for a Republican friend that would do away with this entire agency. Unbelievable. City of Shafter in my state, $2 million for sewer and water improvements to serve the East Shafter Logistical Center, which will allow development of an additional 600 acres to enable continued growth of the center and support a multimodal transportation hub. This project is expected to create 1,400 jobs and leverage $200 million in private investment. So that's a $2 million investment that is going to be leverage, leverage, leverage. You know, we're going through a time when we have to cut spending. And I love when the Republicans lecture Democrats about it. Wait till you hear what goes on here. Guess the only party to ever balance the budget and create a surplus? The Democrats, with Bill Clinton in recent memory. So don't lecture us about how to balance budgets. We know how to do it. And guess what? We know how to do it by creating 23 million jobs. So I don't need to hear the lectures because they're misplaced. Talk to yourselves. You're the ones who didn't say a word when George Bush did a tax cut to billionaires and put it all on the credit card. And now you still want to extend those tax cuts and bleed the revenues.
Will you yield
You're
for
the
a
one.
question?
I will not yield till I'm finished. I've stated